This is Flat Tank Journey, and I'm Chris. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my living room. Why are we in the living room, not out in the shed? Well, like all projects, I've come to the point with mine where I just need to accumulate some more money. And so in the real world, you don't have limitless funds to tip into bikes or cars or whatever you're building. So I'm accumulating a few funds and getting my head around the jobs that are to be done next. I need to go backwards and I need to finish the rally. Why haven't I finished it? Just a bit chicken to try and fire that engine that is untested. The Valicet, well, I've put that aside looking for parts. And the BSA, I need to gather some more funds, get a few things done and get it professionally fired, not by me. In the meantime, somebody asked me a few weeks ago to show you what I have. And so I thought I'd start with my Elliot. This was sold to me as a 1916 Elliott Payneham, a bike constructed here in Australia, actually in South Australia, a different state from me, and it was made in Payneham Road by the Elliott brothers. It's not 1916, or I don't believe it is. It's actually not a complete bike, or it isn't a complete bike that was original. It's a composite of bits made together over a series of years. The bike's been known to a lot of people for about 40 or 50 years in various incarnations. I met the guy who supplied the rear end of the bike to one guy who had it, and so the bike's knocked around for a long time. I seem to be the first person that's got it into some functioning, finished bike. Let's have a closer look at it and I'll talk you through what I know about it and maybe you'll know more about it than me. So you're looking square on at it. What do I know about it? Well, 1920s is what I believe, early 20s. Perhaps the frame's earlier, but I don't think so. The engine is certainly about 1921 or 2, and I forget the prefix. It's a little Villiers motor, it's 269cc, and it has a 2-speed Albion gearbox behind it. It's a bump start, it's a run and jump. There's a decompression lever, and pull the lever, give it a push, and hop on and hope that it fires. It does, or it did the last time I rode it. The bike came to me in a relatively good state. What did I get? I got a frame, I got a front end. I didn't get the connecting arms for the Springer. I got the handlebars and I got a set of mudguards. I got the engine, I got the gearbox, the gear change lever, and that's about it. The rest of it I had to find or fabricate. And you know what I'm like? I'm into making stuff. The first job for me was to get it up on a set of wheels. Now the wheels are bead-edged rims and tyres, and looking at it now I can see the front tyre's flat, but they're reproduction wheels. They're wheels that you can buy here in Australia, or I think they come in from Taiwan. I think they might actually be rickshaw wheels. You can buy the hubs, you can buy the rims, you can buy the tubes and the tyres, the whole works. And the guy that sold me these drilled them, supplied the spokes and sent the whole lot to me, and it wasn't an enormous amount of money. They're not made for going 100 miles an hour, but I was told this thing is a bit like riding an asthmatic cat. I can ride it and I'm a big man, but not fast. So I got the bike up on wheels and I fitted these reproduction mudguards. Let's have a closer look at them and I'll explain the mudguard stays. The mudguards, well, they're just what I call a Panama hat style. They've got the little flare out on the side. I made the brackets. That's my first attempt at making the mounting brackets. And I hot riveted them on and I did a reasonable job. I made the stays. The stays, I had one original, and I forget which one is original, and I made the rest. They came out really well, and I was really pleased with them. I made the connecting arms off a pattern, off a front end I bought that was allegedly from an Elliott. They came out really well and do a great job. The engine was a bit of an anomaly to me. 269cc and a little two-stroke. And if it was an early Elliott, it would have had a four-stroke and a forward-facing magneto. That's a 9¼ inch flywheel cover, which caused a lot of trouble to find, and I paid a lot for it. The carby, well, it should be a Mills carby, but that's a Villiers carby, made out of new old stock parts that a guy in, I think it's Queensland, has parts and puts together carbies. I do like the Albion gear changer. It came with the bike. Was it on the bike originally? No idea. I made the connecting rod to go to the gearbox. It does change. We have two speeds. We have high and low, or low and a little bit quicker. Looking in, you can see the header pipe and the exhaust pipe and the pong box in the middle. Now, a local friend made it for me. He's eccentric, and the silencer, or the pong box bit of it, is made of a resistor or a transistor from power lines. And he cuts the ends off and uses the ends and fabricates the rest. He did a great job. It looks about right, but of course it isn't. I didn't have one, couldn't get one. He made it up. You can't see in, but there's big nickel-plated engine mounts, and I fabricated those from a wooden pattern that came with the bike. The footrests, you'll see that the footboards are in the style that I might make them, or that I still do now. I bought them at a swap meet for about $30 and fabricated the mounts and did everything. I've turned the bike around so we can get a better look at the other side. You can get a bit of a look at the engine plates, and yes, they are nickel plated because I love it. You can get a look at the gear change mount underneath the frame, and that looks super. Here's a chain guard, very rudimentary, that my eccentric friend made for me. And the sprocket on the gearbox. Now there's no clutch. It's direct drive to the belt. So the engine has a chain to the gearbox and then to a belt. The brake mechanism, for what it is. Now it's a chunk of wood that you jam into the wheel. That's basically what it is. The brake pedal, well, I found it at a swap meet and I fabricated everything to go in there, including moving the brake rod mount so that the brake rod fitted and that the spring actually worked. At the back, you might see parts that resemble Douglas. And they resemble Douglas because I had those plates from the brake shoes of a Douglas. And I made everything else, literally everything else, to get it to actuate and to tilt and to operate. Let's see if I can get that to work. And it did. And it's the trailing side that I have going in. That was my first attempt to fabricate everything, and it worked pretty well. There you're looking at my first homemade rear stand. Now it sits up a bit straight, but it's the first attempt I ever made. It sits pretty neatly and it works pretty well. I was pretty happy with it in the end. Got a few cobwebs on it. The tank, well, I believe it's an original tank. The filler necks are not original because one was cut out and the other just didn't suit. So I bought 2 filler necks from the United States with brass caps and had the new filler necks sweated into the tank professionally. I don't use the oil tank. It's a 2-stroke. It runs on modern 2-stroke fuel. So all the pipe work for the oil feed is superfluous and not necessary. The fuel tank is sealed with a liner kit and works really well. And I'm very happy with the way the liner kit has held up. The decal, I had it made. At that stage, and it's 9 or 10 years ago, I didn't really know about someone to hand paint it, and I wasn't looking for the correct logo, and so I just had it made. I don't like it now, but nonetheless, it's okay. The Elliott's a lovely little bike, and I think it looks about right. I'm happy with the way it turned out, but in no way is it meant to be an original example. A very nice little decompression lever and a Villiers probably stationary engine lever on the other side for the throttle, and that's it. Very sparse bars. I bought these grips at a swap meet and I just love them. No, they're not original. No, they should be something else, but I think they look good. I also bought the seat at a swap meet, and for me, it was the crowning piece of the bike. It's not the correct seat, but it's of an era that looks about right. It's probably a bit early for the bike. Maybe it's a bicycle seat. Maybe it's a motorcycle seat. It's certainly recovered. Somebody has recovered it and done a very, 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 very nice job of hide and wet pressing. Really happy with it. That's my Elliott Payneham, and I'm really proud of it. It's the second flat tanker I ever bought. I've got a 500 BSA, and I might show you that in a week or two. We'll see how we go. Depends on how much work I can get done and where I'm at with the other bikes. The Elliott was an attempt to get back a few years. When I bought it sight unseen off some pictures on the old eBay, and I really hoped it was pre-1919 so that I had a veteran. Is it? Well, the engine's not. Is the frame? Possibly, but probably not. Nonetheless, it's an early bike. It's a bump starter. It's not hardly fit for modern conditions, that's for sure. She's a bit dangerous to ride. Why is it inside? Because my wife, yes, my wife, said it was a piece of art and you could probably put that inside. So whoosh, I did. Very proud of it. There's things I would do differently if I had a chance now, but I'm not going to go back and change them. I would change some of the way I did things and I would do it differently, and I would probably do it better. Finally, why is it orange? It's orange because I don't like the green that they paint them. It's an olivey, dauby, not overly attractive green. Just did nothing for me. Why did I paint it orange? I like the Merkel orange that you see pictures and paintings of, the flying Merkel. This orange is just an orange that I bought at the local auto parts store and I painted it. If I was painting it again, I might paint the guards black and just leave the tank as the highlight. And I might get someone to hand paint what I believe is the correct logo on it in creams and whites, but I'm probably not gonna. I'm gonna leave it the way it is. This is what I did 10 years ago and what I could manage then, and I've learned a lot since then. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the Elliott. This is the content I can provide currently. I'll find out pretty quickly whether people like it or don't like it. If you like it, say g'day, send me a comment. It's been good to hear from a few people. And if you really like it, think about hitting the subscribe button. In the meantime, enjoy your journey. Have a good week. Cheers.